PH MoMag.
Well, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good, thanks for having me.
Tommy Wright.
Yep.
Pleasant Hill Chief of Police.
I am.
Good to have you.
It's great to be here.
I love doing this podcast. I'm bringing people in from Pleasant Hill. We were talking about the name of the voice of Pleasant Hill, from Pleasant Hill, whatever. But these are the voices that have a lot of influence in Pleasant Hill. You kind of have the quadrant of protecting, right? You have the role of running everybody's protection across the city, right? So
Correct.
I thought I'd have you in and we
Sure.
would talk shop here.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I was just teaching a guitar lesson because I do teach here.
Okay.
And this woman said, "Oh, you have to ask him about CERT.
Okay.
I think
yeah.
he's excited about CERT." And I'm like, "What's CERT?" So I guess you can tell me.
Yeah, so concept started in the 80s in Los Angeles with some instances they had out there. And what they recognized was that they had a need for educating the public on disaster response. And so we're not talking large scale search and rescue. We're talking search and rescue light. We're talking being educated and prepared for a disaster at your own house. So if a tornado would come through, you would know what steps to take, shut your gas off, things like that, to protect yourself and your family. But from there, that spun into a program that eventually went nationally. And it's called Community Emergency Response Team. And so we are trying to get a team off the ground, and we've partnered with some staff at the high school who run a medical reserve corps.
Oh.
And so we're going to combine the two. And so our hope is to be able to have a volunteer echelon within our own community and quite frankly from neighboring areas if they want, because we're going to be a resource to the region. First, we have to take care of Pleasant Hill.
Sure.
We first have to take care of our own families, then
Sure.
Pleasant Hill, and then regionally. And so we're not immune to a disaster that would impact Harrisonville
Right.
or us and say Greenwood. So we want to be able to help out where we're needed. So what we'll do is we'll get this team together, get them trained in some of those basic first aid, emergency response type stuff, and get it rolling.
How many people would be on this team?
As many as we can get.
And so the community can be a part if they want?
Absolutely.
So
It's-
how do you
So we're still in the
do this?
we're past the idea stage. We're into the implementation stage, and eventually we will launch some training. People, in order
Okay.
to respond to these, have to be trained. And so it's about a 3-day course, about a 24-hour course, and it teaches you everything from when and how to respond, teaches you team structure, and then it teaches you some of that light search and rescue. And it teaches you, most importantly, to take care of yourself, your family, and your neighbor.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
So
so
what's the timeline on this?
You know, we were hoping to have it launched sooner than later, but
Yeah.
there's lots of irons in the fire within the police department and within the city. We have a couple big construction projects going on with animal control and then our
That's
station
pretty
renovation.
exciting.
It's very exciting. So we're moving a little slower than I'd like. I'm not a patient person, but certainly we're going to get there. And I think that some momentum is building for people to be interested and volunteer to be a part of it.
So there's already something in place, I think, isn't there, for emergency? Because I remember when I owned the paper.
So there is
something.
there is a shelter group that in the event that we have to stand up a shelter, they're Red Cross trained, and they actually have a couple locations within the city where they can stand up a shelter pretty quickly, and they're a very, very qualified,
That's
very
what I
good team.
remember.
Yep.
Yeah, that would like PHMC was
Yep.
one of them, and they were
Yep.
doing something out there in the electrical room or something like that.
Yeah, and so this will further solidify that relationship that the police department and the community has with our shelter group.
Okay.
It'll be another tool in our toolbox. I
So
know that.
this will be in addition to.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so during the water emergency that we had last year, I relied heavily, because I've stood up a CERT team and I have some connections within that world. We relied heavily on CERT teams from Warrensburg, from well, our own health department helped out, and then CERT teams from Casey Mo.
Tell us a little bit about this water emergency.
This was the one where we handed out water last year.
Okay.
And so we had teams throughout the region that came and spent days helping us hand out water. So it's a great resource for us, for our
neat.
community, and for others in the region.
That's awesome. So how long have you been with Pleasant Hill Police?
Be 3 years in July.
3 years. Man, that 3 years went fast.
It did.
It
It
seems
did.
like you just came on.
It's been fantastic.
So tell me a little bit about your experience in the last 3 years. Any highlights?
You know, I think the biggest highlight is working for a community that supports law enforcement. You know, our crime stats, some go up, some go down, but our crime stats are not high. In 2024, we were the fifth safest city in Missouri. And as much as I would like, fifth, yes. And as much as I would like to say that that's the police department's fault that we got fifth, and you know, we really did a good job, and we do. We have people that do a great job.
Sure.
But it's the community that we serve. We serve a fantastic community.
Yeah.
And that's really the highlight, man. People wave. They use all their fingers when they wave. It's great.
Yeah, we all love our policemen. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So tell me what the biggest obstacle is.
Ooh. You know, I don't know that I really see a lot of big obstacles here. I think that we're positioned similarly to other somewhat suburban / rural areas in police departments. It's the biggest obstacles really are money. Keeping,
What would you like to see?
well, I would love to see our salaries raised.
Sure.
And I'm not speaking about mine, but I'm talking about the line officers.
So they don't leave.
Exactly. But, you know, even if you raise the salary, people are still going to leave policing. It's a tough job. And some people get into it with the best intentions, but realize it's not for them. Right now, we're in an employee's market, you know, so they can go wherever they want. And they're going to, a lot of times, the younger generation's going to go where the money's at and not, you know, like me, I stayed with the same agency for 20 years and never thought.
Where was that?
That was in Jefferson County.
Okay.
So it was with Bobby Watson.
Yeah,
So
I
you know,
know.
he and I grew up together.
Bobby.
So
I'll send this to him.
yeah, you should. Bobby's a great man.
He just retired.
I know. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we love him.
But you know, I never would have thought I'd leave my home agency. I was comfortable. But the good Lord gave me itchy feet, and here I am.
Well, you went to
today.
Greenwood first, didn't you?
Well, I left Jefferson County and went to Trenton for 6 years.
Okay.
And then came down to Greenwood. My kids all live in the KC metro area, and they had kids, and so my plan of moving to Florida slowly dwindled. And
I know, right?
But you know, again, the good Lord puts you where He wants you, and so I'm here and absolutely love it
grandbabies?
here. I do. I have three. I have a 13-year-old granddaughter,
Oh, wow.
a 5-year-old grandson, and a 4-year-old grandson.
So what do you see for the next 5 years for the police station?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that because we are right now working on a 5-year strategic plan. We're being very slow and methodical in developing that plan, and it comes from, there'll be some community engagement pieces that you'll see come out with some surveys, not only for community members, but also for businesses. We want to know how we can better serve our businesses. We're meeting with the faith community pretty regular now because we want their input. How can we serve them? How can their resources help serve our community through us? We're just kind of running the whole gamut of it. Employee satisfaction surveys. We want to put together a comprehensive plan that will lead us for the next 5 years into some fairly lofty goals.
Yeah. So what are your biggest complaints?
Oh, you know,
You gotta have some.
I
Come
don't.
on.
You know, I'll tell you
Nobody
this.
calls in and says, you know.
I mean, you're going to have that everywhere, and I've been in the business for 32 years. So, you know, we deal with people a lot of times that are decent people, but on their worst day of their life. And so sometimes you have to take those emotions with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let them say what they need to say and let them get it off their chest, even if it's negative towards you. You know, you just have to let it be said and then move on and see how you can help them. But in terms of complaints, I absolutely love it here. I really don't have any.
Well, I met other people to the police station. I mean,
I'm
I
a
don't know, I
pretty
was
positive guy most of the time.
No,
so
I meant other people.
what do you mean?
Like like the public. What are the public's biggest complaints about? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not your complaints.
We see, I will tell you this, that looking at the stats, and I can't quote them off the top of my head from last year, but property crimes are up.
Okay.
And it helps to keep it in perspective that
Haven't they been up for a while, though?
they have, and they went up again. And so from a perspective point of view, it doesn't take much to drive our numbers up or down because we don't have that much. So if you have, 10 stealings one year and 15 the next, you're up.
Yeah.
A big deal,
Right.
but it's not a crime epidemic.
Right.
So I think property crimes are a big issue for people. And that tells me, looking at this strategic plan, that we have some work to do. And
Are they inside Pleasant Hill crime, or
Yes, they're inside.
Because when I first moved to our home in the country 24 years ago, there was somebody going around batting mailboxes, right?
Right.
And then after about 3-4 years, it stopped. So I kind of wonder, like, if it's inside, it'll eventually
It's probably
go away because
probably a group aged out. Is the
exactly.
criminological theory.
So I wonder if things like that can happen. Here.
Yeah, it can, and so some of our property crime, and when I say property crime, it's thefts, and so it tells me we have some work to do, and by we I don't mean just
Trucks,
the police department,
or little things.
little things.
Okay.
Little things. Our actual auto thefts were down this past year.
Nice. I know we had problems with that for a while.
We did, but we have a lot of work to do as a community.
Yeah.
Because the police are just one aspect of crime prevention. It takes everybody. I know it's very cliche, but it takes the whole village. And so if you're leaving property unattended, like a bicycle out at night, there's a good chance that it could be stolen.
Yeah.
And so we have to do a better job educating the community, and the community has to do a better job securing their things and not providing that opportunity for a crime to happen.
Okay, so let's go there.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about how the public can protect their things, and I don't know, be eyes and ears, and how would you educate a little bit?
Well, and so that's another thing we're looking at in our 5-year strategic plan is how do we best educate the community. And so we are working on putting things together. We already have quite a few things already put together that we're doing, but it can range from stranger danger classes at daycares to educating business owners and their staff on best practices when it comes to safety and security. It can be, pedestrian safety. It can be anything, as long as we're putting that information out there that's relevant and that keeps them safe and secure.
Yeah.
We would like to do a little bit of CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design, and that really would give us an opportunity to really start upping our game in terms of offering some target hardening. Hey, lock your doors. These are the kind of locks you should probably use to best defeat it. Get the ladder off the side of your commercial building because kids are going to get up there and kick the fins of the air conditioner. And those are all crimes that get reported and oftentimes go unsolved because they don't have video cameras, things like that. So, somebody climbs on a commercial building, kicks the fins of an air conditioner, and it's, a couple 10-year-olds and they run off and nobody sees them.
No one knows who it is.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult problem to solve. So we have a lot of work to do as a PD, but as a community, we all need to pitch in to make things better.
So how many are on staff now? I mean, as officers?
We have 14 full-time officers. We have 3 part-time officers. And then we have 5 dispatchers and an animal control officer.
So do you want to grow that?
I do, but I think our growth has to be smart. It has to be based on community need. It has to be based on finance, obviously. I think that as we see growth to our north, if we were able to get, and I think we'd see growth if we were able to get some light industrial here. You'd see our daytime population be a little more large. The growth will really depend on finances and the growth of the community. So we'll just have to wait and see what that looks like.
Yeah. So I know you got some money this year through a bond, possibly?
We
Am
did.
I right? Okay.
Yep.
So I know that they're building the animal shelter, but what are they going to be doing to the station.
Super excited for both projects.
Yeah.
So the station, one of the things that we looked at as a leadership team, as a city leadership team, is what do we need?
Yeah.
Our biggest problem is the water infiltration from outside coming into the basement of the station. And
We are all having that problem, Tommy.
and so we set about to try to solve or minimize that problem. If we don't solve it or minimize it, that building eventually will be no good.
Okay.
So that's one of the things we're doing. The other thing,
How are you going to do that?
well, I'm not an engineer.
So you're going to have somebody.
Yeah,
come in and do it. All
so
right, all
so
right.
we've already did some testing. We had the fire department come spray down the police station.
Oh, really?
And what we discovered was a lot of that water infiltration is probably coming from rainwater off the roof and into a central location that's not being collected. So it just goes into the
Okay,
ground.
so the firemen come
I know
to
they
you.
loved it. They loved it.
They what they do? Go on the roof and
No, they actually brought in a pumper truck
yeah,
and sprayed it with their big water hose gun.
yeah. For how long?
Oh, it was half hour.
Half hour?
And so we were able to determine that, or I say we, the engineers were able to determine that a lot of that problem that water infiltration problem is coming from all the gutters being piped to one location that doesn't have adequate drainage.
Oh,
And so they're going to fix that. We're hoping that
That's
corrects
not
a
a bad
lot of the
fix.
problem. No.
not at all.
Some of it's going to be storm sewer related. Is that right? Storm sewer, storm water.
We'll take it.
I'm sorry,
We'll
Tony.
take it.
Sorry,
We'll take
Tony, if I said that wrong. And then the other issue we have is we are not very friendly to all of our population that we serve. And so we want to make sure that we are ADA compliant. And so we have two ADA bathrooms in the building. Both are upstairs with no access.
So you don't have an elevator.
So we're going to put a ramp on the front of the building.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. How are you going to do that?
Well, that's
Long ramp.
yeah. It'll be a long ramp, and it'll make a
Wind
turn.
around. They'll get there sometime.
And yeah, and so we
At
wanna
least
make
you'll have one.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
and we want to make sure we're serving everybody equitably, and so that was kind of a priority for me. We're going to do some jail renovations in terms of a booking area. Right now, it's not the safest. It's not
Sounds
terrible.
like I need a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen a booking area.
Oh, I'll have to show
That's
it
a
to
good
you.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's right outside dispatch, and it's probably not the safest for our dispatchers to be exposed to some of the things that are said and done in booking by people that will probably be embarrassed when they see the footage later.
Have you ever released footage?
I mean, we do all the time for their attorneys. Their attorneys
Oh,
will
I
call
see.
and get that
Okay,
footage.
you know, you go on YouTube and you see all
Yeah,
this.
we
I'm like,
wouldn't do
where
that.
Where do they get it?
Yeah, a lot of them get it from their attorneys, and so.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah, but we don't publish any of that.
Okay, so it's not like they're getting it from a police department.
No, they're well, they can.
I mean, originally they are, but
Yeah, but they'll post it on their
yeah.
own. So
Well, I watch it and I'm just like, what police department would just say here? You know,
Yeah.
have our body cam, right?
so we'll make some safety and security upgrades in that area, and then we're also the building that used to be the old Royal building is actually going to become a training facility for us.
So you guys own that?
We do.
Oh,
We do, and so we will actually make that into a training room and multi-purpose room.
perfect.
Right now, we don't have a location where all employees can meet. Looking into the future, we want to be a resource, not only for our own department in terms of training, but we want to be able to bring in outside training
Yeah.
that other agencies can attend, and we can attend as well. And
Perfect.
there's some financial advantages to an agency that does that. They oftentimes will get free seats, and so this will give us an opportunity to do a lot more things and to be a little more proactive with having community meetings, community education meetings on crime prevention, and you name it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, so we're really excited about the project.
So do you work with Cass County Sheriff
Yeah, absolutely, all the
a
time.
lot? I
Yeah.
mean, how does that go?
I mean, we have a great working relationship.
Yeah.
Those folks out there are fantastic, and they're in town a lot. A lot of times when our officers will call for an assist car, if they're coming through, they show up.
They're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I did what you call the Sheriff's Academy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you
on a
need to
trip.
do ours.
I know. Well, you came later, so
Yeah.
I'll have to sign up
We'll
for
have
it.
another one. It'll start probably in August.
Yeah. Well, it was fun. 8 weeks. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wild seeing what they do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we even went into the 911 center, and you could see all the cars and
Yeah.
where they are. I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, they have a great operation there. So
But I think the biggest memory that I have is going into the police car and then speeding around the building a few times, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, we're not doing that again.
yeah.
And here he is laughing and I'm screaming.
Right.
I'm just like, no, we're not doing this again.
Gotcha.
Nice. I do not want to ever be in a speeding cop car.
Yeah.
Ever. But okay, so I'm trying to add. Is there anything you want to add? Anything that you'd like to tell the public?
Yeah, I think that this is a great opportunity for us to talk about what we got going on. I think anytime that we get a chance to be in front of a camera,
Yeah.
to address public issues, to talk about the programs we have going on. We've got Coffee with a Cop coming up Thursday.
I love Coffee with a Cop. Tell us what it is.
Coffee with a Cop is it basically is just that. It's come and have a cup of coffee, maybe a donut. Cops like donuts, so a lot of times the places will provide
I think
donuts.
we all like donuts.
We do. We do. But it's an opportunity for people to come out and visit with us in an informal setting
Yeah.
that's totally non-enforcement. Some people will opine that that's not what cops should do. No, that's exactly what cops should do.
Yeah.
Cops need to be talking to people.
Yeah.
We need to be inside our community, and if that means sitting down, having a cup of coffee, breaking bread, then let's do it. Let's get to know each
people.
other.
Yeah.
Everything that we do is based on relationships, and at the end of the day, if you don't build relationships within your community, you're never going to get anything accomplished.
Right. Well, you're fortunate that the community isn't huge.
Right.
And you can know a lot more people that way.
Yeah.
Right?
I was really fortunate to start when I did because I started the week before the fair in
Oh,
22.
wow. Nice.
So 6 days in, I'm at the fair.
You got to know it. I remember that.
And
remember
I
you being
absolutely
out
love it.
there.
I love county fairs. I
Yeah.
always grew up with them. And so this one's very similar. It's a little smaller than the county fairs I'm used to, but it was an opportunity to meet a ton of people. I'm glad there wasn't like a quiz on names at the end of it, but it really gave me an opportunity to get out there and visit.
Yeah.
And you know me, Connie, I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm always talking. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. I'm going to ask you,
Okay.
what's your most interesting story?
Oh, wow. I don't
Just
know that
one.
it's...
Just one. You've been in the force for so long, you have to have at least one
Oh,
interesting
I've got
story.
all kinds of interesting stories, but I'm not sure that many of them are appropriate to tell. I've had a really blessed career. I
Yeah.
grew up in a large organization, got to do a lot of really cool things. Everything from working undercover to running a drug unit to
Oh,
being a
wow.
detective to running the detective bureau. My last assignment was the chief inspector for internal affairs. So I was the cop that policed the cops. And so
Oh.
I take that pretty seriously.
that hard?
No, it wasn't, because I think that when you get an opportunity to get rid of somebody who's a bad apple,
Yeah.
let's get rid of them.
Yeah.
And so it was
Wow.
it was an interesting job.
Yeah.
I lost probably 50 Facebook friends the minute they put me over there. I don't know if I lost 50, but it was a good opportunity, good growth for me. And but in terms of stories, man, I wasn't prepared for that question.
That's okay. Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next
Maybe
time.
next time. We always like good stories,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And everybody has one.
I've got to work a lot of really cool things, everything from plane crashes to
that would be
you
hard.
name it.
That would be hard.
Well, so probably the most notable one was the governor's plane crash in 2000 and
Yeah, that was way back when.
2000, was it 2001?
Yeah, who was that? That was
Mel Carnahan.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a long time
That
ago.
was a long time
Yeah.
ago. Yep, it was.
So were you younger? Like
Yeah, I don't remember if I was a corporal
I know you
or
were
a sergeant
younger,
at
but
the time.
don't laugh, Bob. He's laughing at
But
that.
yeah, I was actually working a patrol that night. Well, I was supervising a patrol, and we got called that there was a plane that had went off the radar. And we knew the basic area where they thought that it might have went down, and we ended up finding it.
Wow. Wow. So that was that like a whole 1 day thing, or was that like a?
Oh, that was
Did
weeks.
you have to?
It was
Okay.
weeks. The debris field was like 1.5 miles long.
Wow. Where did that happen?
Happened at Rice Road and Old May Ferry in the, I don't know if that'd be considered Hillsborough area.
In St. Louis area?
yeah.
I lived in Hillsborough for a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Oh,
So
did you
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I still have family out there.
Do you really?
Well, that's why I know Bobby.
Yeah.
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 Was he out there?
Yeah, Bobby
Yeah,
grew up in
yeah.
Herculaneum.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Cousins out there. Actually, I'll be out there in May.
nice.
Our aunt just died, so.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's a possibility he'll do the funeral. You never know.
Yeah.
He just did another uncle's funeral.
Yeah.
So he's such a good man.
He is a good man.
good
I have lots of great memories, lots of great stories, about Bobby, but they're probably inappropriate to
Yeah,
tell here.
we won't go there. Bobby, you'll have to tell me some though. So, well, thank you for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Again,
Yeah.
if there's anything that we can help you with, and your viewers, if they ever need anything, tell them to reach out
Tommy
to
Wright,
me. You know,
you're Chief of Police.
I won't always give people the answer they want, but I'll tell them the truth, and I'll hold my people accountable, and I'll hold our community accountable.
Very good. Well, I hope so.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Connie. Appreciate it.